Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to share some wise words to my 18-year-old self. When I first went into college, I really hadn't dated at all. I had gone out with a couple of girls in high school, gone on a handful of dates. I'd never really had a girlfriend, and so I was going into this experience very green. I really didn't know what I was signing up for, but I knew that I really wanted to get into a relationship. I knew that I really wanted to have that experience. I ended up going out with a lot of different girls and found myself with a girlfriend about halfway through my freshman year of college. Now, these are some things I wish I could transmit back in time to myself as I was just starting out on the dating market. First thing that I would like to communicate is understanding the difference between obsession and love. So when I was 18, I really didn't get the difference. I thought that if I was obsessed with someone, if I was thinking about them all the time, if I was willing to do anything for them, that was love. And over time, my definition of love has gotten a lot more complicated, it has gotten a lot more nuanced, and now I no longer quite see things in the same way. So I wish I could have gone back in time and talked to my 18-year-old self and said, hey, this obsession that you have is rather conditional. It's conditional on the relationship that you're in. It's conditional on the circumstances that you have. You're very nervous about this relationship and you're willing to bend over backwards for this person. This is not the same thing as having a deep sense of fulfillment and love for them. And that's fine, but recognize where you're at. The big difference in the feeling between the two is that an obsession is far less stable. So an obsession can feel threatened by outside forces interacting. An obsession can feel like, oh my God, if I do something wrong, this relationship's gonna be entirely over. An obsession feels more like, oh, if we get in a fight, that's it, we're gonna be done. Whereas love is much more stable, love is much more strong, love is much more long-term. And recognizing that this anxiety, really, that you're feeling about this relationship indicates that it's not entirely based on love. Obsession is insecure, it requires constant validation, it is always suspicious. Love is anchored, it feels solid, it doesn't require immediate gratification. Looking for value alignment is critical. Look, I understand you want to go after the pretty girl, you want to go after who you think is the most attractive, but ultimately, what relationships come down to is an alignment in values. Do you care about the same things as the person you're going out with? I'm going to link below a list of 100 most common values. I recommend going through and circling the 5 to 10 that you resonate with the strongest. Values can be thought of as basically a prism by which everything that we experience passes through. So if your core values are in opposition to someone else, you guys can experience the same phenomenon and react to it in completely different ways because simply your values are not in alignment. So finding someone that you're attracted to, yes, absolutely, but someone whose values are in alignment, if you're looking for a long-term relationship, is even more critical. There will always be other fish in the sea. So I think when I first started dating, I had this sense, I was so nervous about this relationship that I had. I thought that there was no possible way if I broke up with this person, that there was anyone else I would ever be able to date. This kind of goes back to the obsession piece, right? I was so hyperfixated on this person and on this relationship. The reality is that there are 8 billion people on the planet. There are so many other options of people you can date. So if things aren't feeling right, especially when you're young, it's not worth spending a ton of time trying to work through those issues. What's probably going to end up happening in the long run is that you're going to break up anyway. There are lots of other people out there for you to meet. You do not need to compromise on your principles. You don't need to compromise on your values. You don't need to compromise on your worldview. If it's not working out, you can find someone who's a better match. So especially when I was first dating, when I was 18, 19 years old, I felt, wrongly so, that that wasn't the case. I felt like there's no one else who would be willing to date me. This is the only option that I have to make it work. And the truth is, that's just not accurate. I don't have to make it work. If it's not working out, there are plenty of other fish in the sea. It is okay to move on. Which brings me to my next point. She might not be the right match for you. So just because you're attracted to someone, that doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are a perfect match. I'm looking at you, 18-year-old Mishak. You can feel all of the happy feelings that come with being attracted to someone. You can feel like you're in love with them, and it still might not be a good match. And the truth is that I heard these things when I was 18, and I felt like I knew that was accurate, but that, oh, I'm an exception to that rule. You don't understand how much I'm in love with this person. It's totally gonna work out. All of you guys are wrong. Well, turns out they were right. If things aren't working out, it's okay to break up. I had a scarcity mentality when it came to dating. I felt like because no one wanted to date me in high school, no one really wanted to date me in college either. I had a story in my head that I was this romantic and I had to find the love of my life when I was really young. And these stories prevented me from breaking off relationships when I should have. I hung on a lot longer than I needed to. I tried to fix things when we were just fundamentally different people. It's okay to break up with someone just because you're not happy. One of the things that I felt at the time is that I needed to be justified in breaking up with this person. And I needed to have this very concrete, logical reason as to why we should break up. When the truth is that we just weren't a match. And at the time, I was not able to articulate that we didn't have the same value alignment, that we didn't see our lives going in the same way, that we simply didn't align. And that was okay. But it meant that we weren't a match. But because she was the first person I had dated, and actually I was the first person she had dated, we were both sort of locked in this situation where neither of us was willing to just go, you know what, this isn't worth it, let's take a step back. And that absolutely bit me in the long run, where I tried to fix and keep and stay in this relationship even when it was well past its expiration date. Don't put too much pressure on it. Like I've said in all of this, I felt this need for the person I was dating to be this love of my life. I felt the need for them to be the person that I was going to be with forever. When the reality is that was very unlikely. Look, college is a great time, but it's also a time of transition. It's a time of going from adolescence all the way into adulthood. It's a time in which you're sort of trapped in the same place and it feels like everyone's moving in the same direction, but it's only because that's the direction we're moving in now. That's not necessarily the direction we're going to move in for the rest of our lives. And it can feel like it takes up all of your life. It can feel like it fills every second and that everything is going to be college forever. But the truth is that once you graduate, the years start to tick by way faster than you ever thought possible, and suddenly college is far in the rearview mirror and the direction of your life is full steam ahead in a direction you didn't even anticipate. So the idea that you're going to find the love of your life while you're 18 years old and haven't had any relationships and are in college for the first time with a bunch of people whose life trajectory you don't even know if they match yours is crazy. So instead, what I recommend is have fun, get to know people. Don't put too much pressure on it. And when things don't work out, break up with them. It's totally fine. There are hundreds of thousands of other people out there who would be an excellent match for you. I guarantee it. And if this person isn't right, that's okay. That doesn't mean you're bad. That doesn't mean they're bad. It just means it wasn't a good match. And really, if you think about the odds of it, most people aren't going to be a good match for you. And perhaps there was a time in my life where I didn't believe this, but with my life experience now, I can say with certainty there is someone out there for you. Guaranteed. I don't care how weird or eccentric or strange you think you are, there is someone else out there for you. So use this time when you're young to experiment, to grow, to find out what you like and find out what you don't like. Just try to avoid getting anyone pregnant. This is a time for exploration and discovery, not a time to lock in your soulmate. But I hope that some of you out there are able to take this advice and perhaps it can nudge you in the right direction to finding more joy, success, and happiness in your life. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new here. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.